Hey guys, Dan here, coming at you with a video review, believe it or not. Trying video on for size because if you read my Best of 19 wrap-up post a few months back, you'll be aware that I kind of don't really like writing anymore. At least not in this context. So here we are with a video review, and we're kicking off this new multimedia frontier with a real doozy. We're going to discuss Katatonia's new album, City Burials. Katatonia, of course, Swedish institution, gothy, proggy institution that they are. City Burials is their 11th full length, and it drops on Friday, April 24th via Peaceville Records. Now, coming into this album, Katatonia's stock is riding pretty high. The band's last album, The Fall of Hearts, back in 2016, got widespread critical acclaim, including from yours truly. It was my number 2 album that year, I believe, back when I was still doing ranked year-end lists. Fall of Hearts, I would argue, is one of the 4 essential Katatonia albums. To be fair, the band has never really done a bad record, but there are 4, in my opinion, that kind of stand above the rest, and those being Brave Murder Day, Last Fair Deal Gone Down, The Great Cold Distance, and then Fall of Hearts. Fall of Hearts saw the band move in a little bit more of a proggy direction. There was that classic Katatonia bleakness, but also a bit more intricacy in the compositions. And, the heavy parts were a little bit heavier. The calmer parts were a little more melodic, a little more soothing. Everything was a little nimbler. It was just amazing. It was an incredible album. 4 years on, I still listen to it on the reg. It's terrific. So how does the band do trying to follow it up? It's fine. City Burials is fine. I think that's the TLDR version. It's not bad. It's not great. It has its moments, and then it has others that I've already forgotten. Coming into City Burials, there were 4 essential Katatonia albums, and now that it's released, there are still 4. So if that's all you need to know, you can be on your way. I mean, for everyone else, we'll dive a bit deeper. Before we do, obviously, just a little disclaimer. This is my opinion, mine alone, not anyone else's here at Nine Circles, not gospel. It's just one fan's take. I feel like this should be obvious, but, this being the internet and all, I just am never quite sure if the obvious is actually as obvious as it seems. So feel free to think differently. I don't care. This is just my take. So all that said, I get the sense that Katatonia is a little bit lost here. City Burials strikes me as an album that isn't entirely sure what it wants to accomplish. And I think a handful of tracks reflect this pretty well. The opener, Heart Set to Divide, is a riffy affair, really starts to grow on you once it picks up. The trouble is that it doesn't do that for almost 90 seconds. The first part of the song, you get this melodic, soft Jonas Renkse croon that is pretty, but it doesn't really do a lot for me. It doesn't grab you. If you stick with it, you're rewarded, but I feel like the best Katatonia tracks grab you right off the bat, and this one just doesn't. What's funny about it is that later on, City Glaciers does the exact reverse. It hooks you right off the bat, and it's got this incredible bass-heavy riff. There's nice interplay between Nicholas Sandin and the twin guitar attack. The parts almost seem to echo off each other. It's real cool. But then it ends up meandering in the middle for about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and it just loses you. Lacquer just bores me to tears. Rain feels like the band grabbed a bunch of just generic random heavy parts and tried to Frankenstein them together into a song. And the thing is that all of these tunes have their moments. These and others, they all have their moments. There are individual parts to each of them that I find interesting or that I wonder where it's going to go. And a lot of them involve Jonas Renkse. I mean, the dude sings his ass off on this album. Incredible performance from him. But the trouble is that more often than not, the whole songs feel like less than the sum of those incredible parts, and it gets kind of frustrating, unfortunately. But I do have some good to say about it. There's a handful of songs that just 100% stick that landing. I think of the most recent single, The Winter of Our Passing. It's one of the album's shortest tracks. It's like 3 minutes and 15 and change, something like that. But it shows the band bringing a sense of urgency and purpose for a change. And, the song comes in, says its piece, and gets out. It's terrific. Later on, you get Flicker, which for my money is the best track on here. Again, that urgency, again, that relative lack of meandering. But then there's also just this absolutely stunning chorus. You get just Jonas Renksa's voice is just soaring. It reminds me of obviously sonically very different, but it reminds me of listening to Iron Maiden and the song Passchendaele, where Bruce Dickinson gets that point and he sings, "Blood is falling like a rain." Forget you heard me do that. Please forget you heard me attempt that. Anyway, but like I said, the songs don't sound anything alike, but that power behind the vocals is there. It's palpable. This song will slay live if ever we get to see live music again, and that's TBD. Who knows? The album also closes with a pretty strong 1-2 punch. You get Neo Epitaph and Untrodden. The former kind of takes a City Glaciers-like bass guitar interplay riff and then actually holds your interest throughout, unlike City Glaciers. The latter goes quieter. It feels more like something off the Fall of Hearts, which is always a good thing. So I got to give credit where due. Things go out on a high. The album finishes strong. In the end, I'm not going to say it's a bad album because, like I said before, I don't really think Katatonia does bad albums. It is a little disappointing. And in the big picture, it's probably going to end up getting lost in the middle of the pack somewhere. I don't normally like bringing a band's trajectory into the mix, or, I try to just judge an album on its own merits when I review stuff. But it's hard not to keep bringing up Fall of Hearts here because, because City Burials is so middling, that's a bummer. But it's made even more so knowing that they just recently did something so great. Like just before this, they put out one of their, best 4 albums ever. So I don't know. That's my take. I still love Katatonia to death. I'm sorry, this one just doesn't do it for me. It might for you. And you know what? That's great. I'm glad you like it. Differences of opinion happen sometimes. As I mentioned before, City Burials drops on Friday, April 24th on Peaceville Records. Go pick it up if you're interested. If you like this review, drop by 9 Circles. Our website is www.9circles.co. All kinds of reviews, interviews, random news clippings, you name it. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, facebook.com/9circlesblog, Twitter and Instagram @_9 Circles. We also have a podcast called the 9 Circles Audio Thing. That is a lot of fun, especially lately. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, you name it. Anywhere you get your podcasts, we're there. So check that out too. And finally, you may be noticing I am wearing a St. Vitus t-shirt. St. Vitus, for those who aren't familiar, is an incredible metal bar in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, New York City. It's super important to our community, to New York City, to America, internationally. The metal community owes so much to St. Vitus. And they're in a little bit of trouble right now because they are not immune to the struggle the music industry is facing in the wake of COVID-19. They've had to shutter indefinitely. And when you're closed, you can't book bands, you can't pay rent, you can't pay your staff, and that's scary. Especially in New York. That shit gets scary real fast. So the venue has started a Kickstarter. It's called St. Vitus Stays Home, and they're looking to the community for some support in this rough time they're going through. If you are able to donate, highly encourage you to do so. It's a very special place that means a lot to a lot of people. So to the extent that you can, please consider throwing a couple coins their way. That'll do it for us. Thanks again for your time. Hope you're all doing well. Wash your hands, cover your faces, stay home. We'll all get through this together. I promise. All right. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.